Hey, how's it going, Future Shock?
How's it going, Tristan? You okay? I'm good.
I am okay, except I'm just very annoyed by the media assets, and I've just seen that the intro video has played the episode 11 rather than the episode 12 that you uploaded, you sent to me.
Do you think
So
we'll get away with it?
I'm not. I think it's early days mission failure. Really, I mean, it's like one of those things. Should we just like turn the key off now because, it's. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
know.
It's going to be a space explosion. It's going to be like Elon Musk space launch or something. It's going to just be a disaster. No, I have nothing against Elon Musk, but yeah. But yeah, annoyingly, that must be a bug though because I made sure it was episode 12.
Yeah,
But
I did
there we
wonder
go.
because I was quite late sending it whether you'd actually got it. But I'm sure. Yeah. Anyway.
I got it and uploaded
Um,
it. But yeah,
but yeah, so yeah, YouTube in general has been quite interesting for us recently. Anyway, hasn't it? And streaming and things related to streaming and all this, especially music that we've been playing.
yeah. Some music that we've been playing. I mean, the music we've been playing has been some of the finest music in the world, but it's been exclusively from my band Sandwich Pan and your project Future Shock. So that's the music we've been playing, and it's fine music. And what we got a little message, we got a little problem. We found our YouTube our video was blocked from worldwide play. So and quite unaccountably, they seem to have a problem with. I think there's someone called Future Shock, and he there seems to be a copyright claim on behalf of a drum and bass DJ called Future Shock, and we played one of Future Shock's songs on our show. But the only problem is that Future Shock is actually here on the show, so it's actually his own track. And
Right here. So that's
right,
the
you
thing.
can hear, yeah.
That's the thing. It's quite interesting. This isn't the first time this has happened to me either, as well. It happened on TikTok as well in a slightly different way, but it was basically the same stupidity. But yeah, I mean, it's taken me it took me a couple of goes to get it sorted out, didn't it? Because I originally messaged them about it saying, this is my track and I made it this, that, and gave them all the dates and information and stuff. And then they were like, no, you're wrong. We're still going to just ban it anyway. And then I had to get a little bit shirty with them in the second follow-up message.
You have to take your shirt off.
Yeah, I did it basically in just a pair of Speedos. Sorry. I mean, it just had to be done. It just
You would have been quite sort of streamlined for action in an emergency,
exactly.
So
I needed to be lithe as possible. So basically, yeah, I just sort of said to them that, well, but this is a track. It took me about a year to make this track. I can give you the contract if you want, which is signed by me and the people who signed the track. So I'm not sure what more information I can give you. And then they backed down. So that's good. Finally.
they did back. Well, they said sort of mercifully. So what was the thing called? Wax or Works or something? What was the company?
Works. I think this is some company that basically chases up these things on behalf of labels. It chases up copyright claims on behalf of labels. So that's their job. But they got the message in the end.
I wonder how they must have some kind of software that's infiltrated or they must work with YouTube or something, because they've only got very small audience right now. But how would they have been able to scan? I don't understand how they might have find that out. Do you? I mean,
I'm not sure how it works.
We have some very illustrious followers, actually. I've just been checking our X account, and we've got a movie producer. We've got like all sorts of interest. We've got like lots of kind of activist people following us. It's like quite cool, So even though we've got like a small following, they're quite it's like a distilled greatness. We have the finest people, even though we don't have that many. But those we do have are probably worth 100 normal
distillation
and simpletons. It's distillation of excellence. Yeah,
it's underestimated, really. I'm trying to look up this because I've never heard of Label Works before. I'm trying to look them up and just sort of see what that is, but it doesn't really tell you. It just tells you more about what they do, what services they offer. But it must be some sort of algorithm thing that can detect when that's uploaded.
Yeah,
detects the audio somehow.
It's extraordinary. How on earth can they? It's madness. They've got they must have some bespoke hardcore software that can somehow like go through every video as soon.
Okay, I got
that kind of needs AI, kind of needs AI level sort of, that's like.
I got a bit more here. So
yeah,
this is like I think Google's or Gemini's sort of like AI overview of it. It says that Labelworks uses a combination of techniques, including quote fingerprinting and YouTube Content ID, to detect and manage the use of music on SoundCloud and YouTube. So there's some sort of fingerprint ID. It goes through SoundCloud fingerprint scans, YouTube fingerprint scans. There we go. Uses content ID to scan videos for matching
content
music.
ID. That's so. The track, the ladder has some kind of content ID. Is that right?
Must do, unbeknownst to me.
Digitized, or I don't understand how it can work, man. I mean, I'll have to look it up for next week, because I don't like mysteries, and I'm going to try and clear this up, because how can they like be there pouncing?
I guess that's strange, isn't it? I don't know. It's interesting. It's a very clever system of some kind. Yeah, it's just content ID. So it just says here, that's what they use, content ID. It just says it's a fingerprinting system that trawls through every single video on YouTube and identifies copyrighted material. It doesn't tell me how it does that, which is kind of what
absolutely. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. I mean, that's obviously a clear example of the mind-blowing, almost incomprehensible power of computers, I think.
Okay, so look, so the label. Okay, so just reading. Sorry to interrupt, but just reading down here, like the label, it says here, like will upload their music and videos to a database and register them with content ID, and then YouTube cross-checks them, and then these guys pick them up and stuff, like any sort of errors.
Well, it's not that complicated, actually. So I was thinking it was almost like a quantum AI type thing, where it basically does have the computing power to go through every single new video and like go through it and listening to what tracks and what music is on it. But instead, it's like a content ID. So is it something that's probably, how is it going to be encoded in that track, though?
I don't know. That's very strange. I mean, yeah, because AI at the moment, anyway, that kind of stuff doesn't really listen. It doesn't listen yet. It hasn't learned how to listen as such.
Yeah.
As far as I know, when it does, oh my god! Like if you're a music producer, if you're any kind of sound production, sound engineering, and you'll be able to sort of chat with an AI about like what things to change and what's wrong and what to improve and stuff like this. Fucking hell, that's going to be crazy. You're going to be able to work so much faster. It's really crazy, and that's coming soon anyway. That'll come in the next year or two at least, at most. Sorry, it's mad. So
a little bit of that weird story about that OpenAI whistleblower. So yeah, about AI, it's like that we mentioned last week how they have access to all this copyrighted material, but that they're using it. And do you remember I mentioned last week how there was a whistleblower who died in mysterious circumstances?
Remind me, I do vaguely remember. Sorry, what was the story again?
Well, there's a fellow called Sushir Balaji, and he was a former OpenAI engineer and whistleblower who helped train the artificial intelligence systems behind ChatGPT. And then he later believed that those practices violated copyright law. Okay, so do you think, does that make sense to you? So what a lot of what the few sort of people who are critical of AI are saying, what it is doing is it's stealing your work for nothing, and then you're going to have to compete with AI. So as a writer, I'm going to have to compete with AI. As a musician, you're competing with AI. So many creative people are competing with AI. But the point is, it's been trained using copyrighted works. Yeah, and he himself helped train AI behind the AI system behind ChatGPT, and his concern was that it was using copyrighted works, and ultimately that AI is going to be able to destroy anybody in any domain. Ultimately, I mean, in creative domains and such, because even music now. But only because it's based on copyrighted material. It's funny, isn't it?
Well, you will also be able to, at some point relatively soon. In fact, you've already kind of got this. It's just very basic, but it will be a lot better in the next 1 to 2 years. just kind of use AI to create music, and that music, it won't be sort of like it won't be copyright music. It'll be actually just sort of like created music. So there is that as well. They've got, I can't remember the name of the website. I think it's called blah, blah, blah. Where is it? I thought I bookmarked it, but it looked like I haven't. But yeah, it's just in a very basic sense at the moment. Just imagine it like a couple of years from now, you're going to be able to create any genre of music just from scratch, just by kind of
You already can. Terribly. I'm sorry to put it to you, but you already can do that.
Probably.
Did I ever show you? Did you ever see the AI videos about how does, like, I did Hyacinth Book It? Did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that? You know that silly TV show. What was it called? Keeping Up Appearances.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah. Did you ever see the AI on that? Because there's a really cool AI video, but it's got a really good AI song, and I wonder if I'll get a copyright. I mean, how do you get copyright for AI songs? That would be interesting.
That is a bit of a Taurus. That's a bit kind of like of a bigger.
It's a bit of a Taurus, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit of a like endless 4D hyperloop or something. Yeah.
I don't think I saw this actually, or did I see it? It seems to ring a bell. Hyacinth Bouquet AI seems to ring a bell.
I'll just have to put that on the back burner and try and track that down, because it was a really small channel. It's just not coming up in my searches at the moment.
Well, I know that you definitely can create some music with AI. I'm just talking about more advanced type stuff, like sort of real that will actually sort of get on, be competitive at the highest level, sort of thing on big labels. It's not far away.
I'll just share this article about the OpenAI whistleblower. I mean, we talked about it last week, but I didn't remember his name or didn't go into detail about it. So, oh dear, so many.
They're not subtle, are they? They're just.
Can you see that? Can you read the text there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're not subtle, are they, with this stuff? They just kill people. They don't care.
Seems to be, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because it's pretty fucking obvious, isn't it? It's not like they tried to hide it. It's fairly obvious. He comes out with these findings and then he's disappeared and dead. Oh, okay. What a coincidence. Unlucky timing.
It says here, found dead in his San Francisco apartment on November 26. Appeared to be suicide, no evidence of foul play. Chief Medical Examiner's Office confirmed manner of death. Still seeking answers. Happy, smart, brave young man, etc., etc. I mean, it could be like a whacker thing. It could have been whacked, or it could have been mind controlled to kill himself. There's options. I mean, that's the most insidious thing would be to be mind controlled. If they realize that you're actually harmful and you're dangerous for them, they'll actually turn on you and they'll get into your life and they'll actually fuck you up. They'll just destroy your mind and they can make people kill themselves. I mean, that's real. That's an art.
But I suppose if you're running an organization. Like if you were running an organization that would do those kind of things, I mean, or, let me rephrase that. If you were running a powerful organization that needed to keep things under wraps, you could easily just employ people to kind of like find out where a person lives and follow them about a bit, see what they do on a day-to-day basis. Then you can kind of like start introducing people into their lives. You could really fuck with their minds. All you need to do is a bit of surveillance.
Exactly. You need a bit of surveillance, and you introduce people into their lives that they think they trust, and then you can really fuck someone up. Yeah, exactly. And that's what they do to people.
And it's relatively easy if you think about it. You just need to have people who are subtle enough surveying. They don't even need to gather that much information, really. And it's not even that risky, if at all risky. And then just need some people with some forward planning ideas, and then
I mean, I've experienced a lot of these kind of things. They do various techniques, like Delphi technique, which is something which was quite well known, which is where they put you in a training course or something, and you think you and the other people are being trained and you're all trainees, but in fact it'll be like there'll be other people who will be mentors who are hidden in there, and they're not trainees, they're actually part of the program. And they'll talk to you and kind of the Delphi technique is like a sort of system of group shaming. So you think even if I think they've done experiments, haven't they, where they can, if there's a group dynamic, they can shame someone into believing that the short line is longer than, that's the famous experiment. Which line is the shortest? And when everyone in the group insists that the shorter line is longer, then it's like there are not many people who will actually stand up but you can imagine how that could develop. How then they could say, "What's wrong with you? Can't you see clearly that the long line is short or shorter, or such and such?" And they just can bear these psychological techniques, and they shame, and you can do all sort of various sort of destabilization to make you question your sense of reality, right? And it's ancient. It goes back thousands of years, but they do that in training courses. I've experienced it many times, actually. This Delphi technique where there's like, there are people who you think are one thing, but then there's something else, and they kind of like the surprise and ambush. I call it surprise and ambush, where they just surprise and ambush you into realizing that what you thought the situation was isn't, and it's something completely different. But yeah, I say I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they can, given what would be the time frame these Illuminati bastards might need to drive someone to insanity,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually thinking about it. It's not that far-fetched, because obviously when people think about Illuminati or whomever doing these kind of things, it's always looked at in a sense of this. It must be something kind of like super complicated and nefarious, etc., etc. Well, I'm not saying it's not nefarious, but
it's organized. It's something extremely organized.
It's organized, but at the same time, what we're describing is not that difficult. Like if to survey.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's not that. It's like not that difficult. Exactly what you said, because you got it. You said, well, all you have to do is start introducing different people into his life, and there you go. Yeah.
It's interesting because the more you start to learn about all this kind of thing and more you get into it, the more you start to question like sort of things that happen in your own life. I mean, but for me, obviously, personally, I don't do the kind of things that this fellow was doing. So I guess
he's quite. Yeah, I'm sure. No. I'm sure. FS, your role in society is obviously just as important. But this guy, I suppose, he was in a dangerous area, and kind of
true what you're saying though when you think about it. Because if ChatGPT and whichever is drawing all this information from online, this is a lot of copyrighted stuff.
That's what it seems to be about. That's exactly what the court case is about. I mean, there's a quote from him here which you can see. What's this about? His records were sought by lawyers in a separate case brought by book authors. Okay. So he's quoted as saying, "It doesn't feel right to be training on people's data and then competing with them in the marketplace." I think that sums it up. But it's an interesting, it's a very ethical viewpoint for the man. I mean, what a hero, really, for ethics and stuff. Yeah. He says, "I don't think you should be able to do that. I don't think you're able to. You're not able to do that legally." So yeah. He apparently got more.
Yeah, it is exactly what's happening. And he's not the only one who's said about it. But I don't know what is being done about it, if anything, at the moment. To be honest with you, other than just sort of like killing people who are talking about it too loudly or doing things about it, I don't really know what is being done from a legal perspective about it. To be honest with you.
Yeah. So what did he say? He told AP he was disillusioned with OpenAI, especially after the turmoil that led the board of directors to fire Sam Altman. He was broadly concerned about his commercial products were rolling out, including propensity for suspending false information known as, which is weird, I don't know what that's about. Bag of issues, concerned about copyright. There was actually possible to do something about. Yeah. So basically, it's what I've always said, though. I mean, AI, I've always said, it's not intelligent. It's just trawling the internet. It's like it says here, it's just pulling data. It's an aggregator, isn't it? It's what they call it an aggregator. It's not intelligent. Yeah. It's just pulling data.
But essentially you can use it as an intelligence. So that it is not intelligent in of itself, but you can.
I see what you mean. You can use it. You can question it, and you can use it as an intelligence. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
even though it's not intelligent. Yeah.
it's just you're kind of renting a higher intelligence sort of thing. Because obviously,
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't agree with that. You'll say you're renting higher intelligence. I don't think it's higher intelligence.
Okay, so let me clarify what I mean by that. I mean renting an intelligence that is higher than my own anyway, from my perspective, because it's got access to all information. It's got access to way more information than I do. So it has to have a higher IQ than me. Otherwise, why would anyone be using it?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's right. I mean, don't you remember how they had to reprogram OpenAI? Was it ChatGPT? Because it was it started talking about a certain Middle Eastern tribe that it's generally not best to name them, if you know what I mean. But there used to be this. I mean, Google got done for that. Do you remember? It was like it was quite funny. If you typed in the name of the Middle Eastern people we shall not mention, it would your search suggestions would be ruling the world. Global banking.
What I'm saying is, like, you can just use it to increase.
And they were the suggestions from Google and all back in the day. Do you remember those times, man? That was funny, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it makes mistakes and stuff. I mean, it's still very new.
I don't think it made a mistake in that instance, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, but like it was more to your point of you were saying about the mistakes that it does make, and like, yeah, it was.
The point is, it wasn't making a mistake. It was trawling the Okay, so you may not agree with those sentiments, but A, it's funny, and B, it shows that what AI was doing was trawling the sentiment of people online, and that's what they were saying. So you ask AI a question, it goes into what people are actually saying in real life, in real AI, in real computer life, and it just reports the answer. And it tended to revolve around sort of themes of, the general associations of New World Order, banking, and sex, blackmail, Epstein, etc. But it had to be reprogrammed. Do you not remember that? Do you remember those days when they reprogrammed?
Yeah. But as it stands,
right?
Yeah, as it stands,
and they gave it a liberal. It became left wing, so it became Democrat Party sponsored, right?
So as it stands at the moment, what I would say is the best use you can make of AI, which is really sort of increasing your intelligence or renting intelligence, is if you're starting some kind of project. So that project could be sort of business related, music related, fitness related, whatever it is. And you use it as a sort of advisor that has access.
That's what you're doing. You're doing that. You're doing that.
I think that's kind of what I'm sort of getting at. Whereas, like, it's got access to more information about X topic than you do, and yeah, it's not always right. But it's quite bad with, like, when I ask it for stuff like football, like information, some history, some football history, it will get the years wrong, or it will get like the competitions wrong and teams wrong and stuff like this. So I don't know, it has its real like blind spots with stuff like that. But if you're doing a project and you don't really know how to set it up, how to plan ahead, or if you're like doing a fitness thing and you want to track all your sort of information nicely and easily, it does it way better than you could do it, sort of thing, or at least way faster than you could do it, more efficiently than you could do it. So you're kind of
but you're doing that, right? And you're in a project where you're using AI to guide you to how to do it, right?
Two different things. So yeah, the AI for the AI project, and also the fitness stuff I've been doing has all been guided by ChatGPT as well. And I'll be honest, it's the best. It's the most successful fitness program I've ever done ever.
That's pretty interesting, yeah.
And that's not any kind of like.
Give me a few details about this fitness program. What does it involve?
So basically, it involves me every day talking to the AI, just in the terms of like what I've done in the day, eaten, asking it to just keep a running totals table of all my macros.
Does it tell you to drop and give me 20?
Thankfully not. No, it's quite sort of submissive like that.
I don't know. Maybe that's the problem with it. It needs to be a bit more domineering.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah. I like the way that's like a very dark foretaste of. Yeah, it will be. You're right.
Be a dark taste.
Foreboding. There's a dark taste in the air. Yeah.
The taste of
foreboding. Are you taste dark? Do you fear? I mean, obviously you don't fear AI. I mean, take a look at this for instance. Anyway, sure. I've just got this article up. Balaji, who's the premier Google AI, was it OpenAI he worked for? Yeah. He says, and I agree with him though, I do, this is my kind of point, that he says he didn't think that better than human AI known as that, it was right around the corner, like the company Red seemed to believe. So he, honestly, I think it's not real artificial intelligence. Yeah, but as you said, it's really good for asking certain questions that perhaps, don't have any political connotations or things that cannot. Once you start asking political questions, that was the whole issue of it. It was asking political questions, and then the Democrats realized they had to do something. So they sort of, I mean, the lefties in Silicon Valley, the Dem demons, they reprogrammed it. So because they were making the news about it, it was quite funny about you could ask various certain questions that you're not supposed to ask about certain people you're not supposed to mention. In some certain circles, and such and such and such and such and such. So, but it gave the right wing opinion, because most of the internet was right wing for a long time, and whether you like that or not, I mean that's irrelevant. But it was right wing. I mean, do you agree with that, Future Shock?
Well, I'm not too sure. What are you basing that on specifically? I haven't really thought about it.
The kind of activity we used to do, I mean, loose change, we used to be on the forums and stuff, but those themes were kind of, I know there's that kind of movement. The truth movement was what it was, right? And for whatever Ike's values, whatever, he was part of this. He's sort of part of this global awakening. But in a sense, the things they said could be seen as quite right-wing. Even though obviously infinite love and everything else, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's swung, hasn't it? Kind of like sort of back in the early, say when we sort of first knew each other, like back then it was a bit more like that, wasn't it? And then it sort of swung over sort of more left wing. And then now though, I feel like it's kind of potentially going back the other direction. But obviously we're talking in very generalized terms here. But yeah, it definitely has changed for sure. Since the earlier days.
So that's that. So that's a little interesting thing about that. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna put on a track while I try and find the AI Hyacinth Bouquet video, because it's definitely kind of worth watching, and I don't think I'll get a copyright infringement for that. So do you want to say anything else before I put the track on? It's a 10-minute long track. It's going to give us a little bit of a break, and also I can find Hyacinth Bouquet.
That's fine. I'm going to use this break to massage my eyeball, just to let you know.
Yeah, well, you've got to put that in context, because nobody knows what's going on with your eyeball. So just give us a little eyeball.
Basically, I've got like 50% vision. It's like really foggy in my left eye. But I swear it's a little bit better today, a little bit. But yeah, no, it's difficult to like keep staring at the screen. So I'm kind of doing this whilst looking out the window with my feet up away from the computer. But yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, let's roll the tune.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to roll with Introduction to the Sandwich, and this is by the group Sandwich Pan.
Lovely stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the new release from the esteemed pop sensation Sandwich Pan. A band, I might add, of which I am a member, and also a rather dedicated fan. The running time of this ambitious project is approximately 3 hours and 20 minutes, spanning a total of 4 CDs. It's bursting with insightful lyrics, hauntingly sung to breathtakingly soulful melodies. It's the Everyman album, the album for our time. The fact that you won't hear it may be history's greatest cry. Music so flawlessly executed, all but the rarest of virtuosos suitably vexed. As the band so casually glide from one classic song effortlessly into the next. on this splendid album caused me to reevaluate the definition of the word poetic. Some so pointedly truthful, almost rigid in their meaning, while others seem impenetrably esoteric. It's the Everyman album, an album for all time, both heavenly in its devilment and hellishly divine. There's a song about shit-telling, how all we really need is Clint. There's a song about home ownership, how a mortgage leaves one skint. There's 3 songs on ceaseless eaters, vilifying the obese. There's a song of competition that leaves one participant deceased. There's a song about an honest man reduced to telling lies, and a song about life's gamble and how we all shall roll snake eyes. A song about a kidnapped Bobby and the breaking of his brain. A song about 1,000,000 children, each one of them named Wayne. A song about a black American, so fiercely proud of race. Who was robbed by Puerto Ricans whilst traveling out of space. There's a song on psycho doctors who love to push vaccines, and it transpires all these songs are different players' dreams. There's a witty little ditty about the Facebook narcissists. That compares them in importance to a packed lunch as this. There's a song about a man in love who's shopping whilst erect. And a song on shed obsession and the many lives it's wrecked. There's a song about malevolence, hatred and control. There's a song about a dear old friend who talks out his arsehole. There's a song about a drug user behind the wheel of a car. A song of Leonard Cohen's neighbor and his embarrassing faux pas. 2 songs of working in a bakery while suffering in ill health. And one of achieving competence and doing things yourself. song about a roller coaster and what women really want in bed. There's a song about revenge against corporate globalists. And one about a chap's determination to remove the cyst. There's 2 songs about the Western world, sadly lacking in strong men. A song about a squeaky whinger who was relevant way back when. There's a song about a fella who seems to be a fan of some of the most despicable fiddlers known to man. There's a song about the working class abused by woke-type freaks. A song among the frustrations that consume the Tolkien geeks. There's 2 songs about our leaders which attempt to make some sense. Of the Puritans in politics and their incompetence. A song about misguided sycophants who suck up to a killer. And there's a bonus album out there by these chaps called Sandwich Filler. And a group of anonymous Latin American meatpacking glitterati.
There we go.
Did you manage to doodle your doodles or whatever? You're arranging your bobbins or whatever. Are they all your bobbins in order there now? And I found the Hyacinth video, so we're all good.
They're
there.
arranged. They're still tumbling, but they're arranged.
Yeah,
So
well,
what-
we're all tumbling. You, me, and bobbins. So yeah.
It was reminding me of as well. This is a Yorkshire delicacy, right? And I'm hoping you remember it. I'm not sure if they would have had it where you
Bobbins?
were, sort of thing, but it reminded me of. Do you remember having beef baguette and gravy with chips at the pub?
That's quite beef. Was that a thing? Was it hot? Well, it was, as you say. I've just had a salt beef bagel at Brick Lane. So was it on a similar theme?
Was it going on there? Yeah, I remember it as a kid. Never seen it down south. Never seen it since I come down to down south.
I actually don't remember that as a northerner. Beef baguette, right?
It was like one of those pub meals, right? Those sort of standard.
I've had beef and baguettes and sandwiches and all the combinations. I think most, well, not all of them, but I don't remember that as a specific thing. Was it like it almost became the prawn cocktail in terms of like popularity of pub? Prawn cocktail.
I mean, it's just where I'm not sure if it was because obviously Yorkshire is a very big place, right? It's the biggest county in the country, so things can vary across that span. But yeah, it was about where I was, and in Lancashire as well. The sort of like that part of Lancashire, it was very, very common to find it. And then I come down south and there's nowhere. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with these people?
Yeah, I mean, the salt beef bagel at Brick Lane is sensational, and at only £6.50 with a gherkin. And I'm not advertising here. I mean, I'm just sort of, praising. But
yeah, man, something needs to be praised.
It seems like it's good value, right? Yeah. But it's not news to anyone in London. The bagel bake is great, but yeah, just being there.
To be fair, there's a lot of good bagels around that East London area. To be fair,
Yeah, I think there's two. I'm down Brick Lane. I don't usually go to East London. Do you know what I mean?
Not that much,
I mean,
but I do
like,
know there used to be a really good bagel place. I don't know if it's still there in Stoke Newington, opposite the Yucatan.
oh, sure, really? Did they have one? Did they have a good one?
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. The bread was. Oh, it was decent, man.
And
Definitely.
it's about the beef, though, isn't it? It's about the salt beef.
No, I thought you said bagels.
No,
Did I mishear that?
salt beef bagels. I mean, I wouldn't eat a bagel otherwise. What am I going to do with that? But if it's got some mustard, it's got salt, like 5 inches of salt beef in it, and it's got
Yeah, I've had a look at pastrami
and
before.
then I'll take more interest. I'll be like, okay, I'll eat that. That's a bagel. I'll have it because it's that's it. I only would ever eat a bagel in terms of salt beef bagel.
I miss
And I
slab
think-
cakes as well. Do you remember slab? Did you have slab
In-
cakes?
I never had slab cake, man. You're too much of a northerner, man. You know, you're as a Yorkshireman, you're Yorkshireman, but effectively, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you're Yorkshire. I'm kind of like Lincolnshire, like that sort of that northeast coast. So we're a little bit like less. I don't know, like our northernness sort of comes and goes with the tide, really. But that said, we recently elected a reform mayor. So I mean,
Yeah,
there as
something
well.
happened with the floods. What's that story I saw that there was something about floods, and then they're all blaming Reform and saying that Reform fucked it up and stuff like this. I didn't really read
Well,
it.
I don't know, man. That doesn't cognitively make sense. You're talking about like a weather phenomenon, and then reform. I mean, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. I can only I'll search it up, but floods and reform. I don't know.
I think what they were trying to say was that they'd like cut a load of funding for some flood
I can see it now. I mean, the thing is with the floods, they always used to have terrible floods in Yorkshire, but wasn't the reason was because they were clearing marshland and putting houses on drainage land that was would have traditionally drained
Well,
the waters away, right? And not just floodplains, but sort of, like I don't know, drainage plains and stuff, right? Just being tarmacked over. And I think there was this thing in London, right? I remember it. It's like because so much of London is tarmacked over, there's so much loose water. And like so when you concrete and tarmac things, like you create conditions where floods, and if you were to tarmac and build houses on areas which were traditionally sort of drainage areas for mountain offlet and rainwater, you create the flood conditions. Effectively, I think they're created by the government by allowing to build in these areas. At least that's what I think. Also, marsh drainage and clearance of certain sensitive natural areas. Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's a good I think that's a good interpretation to explain the flood phenomenon. But I mean, you're from there. What do you think?
So where I grew up, it was sort of more North Yorkshire way, and there was many areas where you would have massive troughs, basically, essentially massive natural troughs, valleys, where there would be a lot of there would be a lot of relatively new building on them, and then obviously when there's heavy rainfall, those new builds get all kind of like washed up and flooded and stuff. So it was kind of like building work being done in areas where they probably should have thought about it a bit better, or maybe they just didn't care. Maybe it's a money thing. I don't know. But there was a lot of places getting built where it was just down in a valley and they were getting like flooded on and stuff like this. So that was just near me. In North Yorkshire, Northwest Yorkshire. I was kind of like on the border of both. My address was in West Yorkshire, but I went to school in North Yorkshire, basically. So it's quite close.
Okay, so you're sort of like a bit of a divided man. You're kind of split loyalties. I mean, where's your loyalty with your school or with your, North and West Yorkshire?
With my loyalties lie with the Silsden Moor. Yeah, Silsden Moor.
Seriously? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
where I grew up on Silsden?
It sounds nice. Man. It sounds like Emily Bronte-esque and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean, from what you said about your house, you sound like you lived in Wuthering Heights or something.
Well, it's not quite as advanced as that, but when I say advanced, I mean like posh. But it was just a house on a hill, basically. It was a house on a hill.
Did you have a great expansive moor in front of you? And
Yeah, you had, like we had like the moor side, you could see down into the valley, into like the town and stuff. So you could actually see for really long time. You could see for very far, where from like my sort of like bedroom and lounge windows at the house, and like many, many miles. Yeah, it was amazing. But I mean, there's
Well,
nothing
that's
there.
actually, I was going to say, like strange sounds in the night, the baying of distant wolves. But you actually said you saw a UFO. So was that in that area?
It wasn't see here, it was here. It was a very weird one. Did I spoke about
I
this?
don't know if you mentioned it. You might have mentioned it on the show, but I'll be honest, I've forgotten. So
Yeah, I mean, I can go over it again. I mean, basically, we used to live on the flight path of Yeadon Airport, so you'd be used to hearing planes going over all the time, but they would like do it in a specific way. So they would sort of like, let's say I'm in my bedroom, growing up as a little 10-year-old, whatever. The plane would come from kind of the south side over to the north side, so that was kind of the flight path that you were used to hearing. Yeah. So whenever planes went over, or even helicopters, sometimes it was sort of going that direction. So basically, one night I hear what sounds to me like an approaching plane, because you're used to the sound, obviously. Approaching, gets louder and louder, as they usually do, and usually they just obviously pass across the house and off into the north, onto the distance, sort of thing. This one, as soon as it got above like where the house, it seemed to be kind of above where the house was, or very near to the house, it just stopped moving. Like it didn't continue away. It was just sort of at a standstill from what it sounded like. And I was just like, what the hell is that? What's going on here? I was about 11 or something, 12. And I was like, what do I go to the window? What do I do? It's kind of a little scary moment sort of thing. And as a little kid. And so anyway, I ended up going to the window. And just as I got to the window, it just vanished. It just went zoom. And from my perspective, it seemed like it went back in the opposite direction from where it came, which is completely unheard of. Like flight path was the other way around. So, and then it just vanished within like a second or two. Like so
yeah.
fast.
So often they say that these craft can move in ways which appear to defy physical laws. So, like such as resistance and air, air pressure and such. So yeah. But I mean, I think I did talk about it on one show we did about Hitler's flying saucers and how they can create an electrostatic. I don't know if I mentioned it specifically, but there was talk in some of the books or references that they can create sort of an electromagnetic shell that sort of somehow renders the craft no longer susceptible to air resistance and such. But that would explain how that could be a physical craft.
Yeah, it was complete. Like, when you're used to hearing the planes going over a certain way every day for years, and then that happens, it's obviously, we're obviously dealing with something different here. So yeah, interesting. And it was supposed that Moor area as well was supposedly quite a hotspot generally for these kind of sightings, which makes sense, remote area sort of thing.
So you'll be pleased to know. I mean, I don't want to move on from the fascinating UFO first encounter. I suppose you had a first encounter. You know what I mean? There was the range of first, second, and third encounter. So first encounter is seeing a craft or something in the sky.
Maybe I had my memory erased. Maybe maybe all I remember is them going away.
Yeah, that's a good one. That could well be the case, actually. We shouldn't laugh about that. Yeah. Because there's been people in history who'd sort of like the kooks from the sort of what was it, the Council of 13 and Uri Geller and all those kind of people, and they saw UFOs at like 10 or 11 years old, actually at the same age you did, and then they said they were given like a mission, or they heard a voice or something that told them that they will become important people in the future, and they'll go to a certain place or do something, and those people were sort of so moved by that message that they sort of endeavored to sort of fulfill the instruction, and then sort of serendipitously they met people along the way who sort of advanced them in the area of psychic research, but that sort of psychic research more that was done by the CIA. And Project Bluebeam and the Council of 12 and all that kind of crap, that lunatic stuff that was quite big in the CIA in the 70s and 80s, and Uri Geller was kind of a little bit part of that.
I mean, Uri Geller. Yeah, do you remember when he made the football? He claimed that we all made the football move in England, Scotland. I don't know if you remember this in the Euro 90s. Oh God!
I actually missed that. That's quite interesting. What did he say?
So it was England, Scotland at Wembley, Euro 96. Scotland got a penalty, and obviously it's at England at Wembley, so it's like, you know, all English fans basically. And as the Scots striker, I can't think who it was, went to hit it, the ball moved on the penalty spot as he went to hit it, and he fucked the shot up.
Yeah.
And Uri Geller was out in the papers afterwards saying, "Oh yeah, that's because everyone in the country was wishing."
That was the focus. Yeah, I mean, I kind of believe in that though. But the thing is with Uri Geller, he actually was real. He is and was. He has. I do personally believe he did have that gift, and he was recruited by extremely powerful, like a front group, the Council of 12, which was like a sort of partially a CIA sort of mind control program, but it's also, they seem to be sincere that basically it was a kind of mediumship. They were more mediums than sort of what you'd say alien researchers, because it was all about transmitting messages from the so-called Tom. I think he was from the planet Hoover, which is totally weird. So I mean, it must really suck on the planet Hoover. Do you know what I mean? So that's where they come in.
Yes, it's gravity.
It does sound ridiculous, but the thing is, though there was something, I thoroughly believe, and the CIA clearly believed, because they wouldn't fund these programs, that there was something that was contacting, Uri Geller, Adriana Plutarch, and all of the different characters who were involved in this sort of channeling of these so-called old gods. That was what it was. They were the ancient Egyptian sort of pantheon, apparently. I don't know. It was the Council of Nine. It was the Council of Nine. So it was the nine. It was the 9 Egyptian gods, and it was all mixed up with New Age beliefs. But behind it was some genuine phenomenon of spirit, channeling of, and transmitting that message, and it seemed to be valuable to the government, at least, or to the secret elements of the government, because they funded and controlled these programs.
It kind of goes back to what we were saying before, isn't it? And you have to kind of wonder how many of these things are concurrently running. Do you know what I mean? Like at any given time, there could be a multiple people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
There must be you could be just
classified programs. Yeah.
And they'd be unbeknown to you, because it's subtle, like we were saying before about it being easy. It's easy because it's subtle. Like if you're getting people in people's lives, it's not, it's a very subtle thing to do. It's you can do it quite easily, like surreptitiously like that. So yeah, you could be walking down the street and it could be happening to someone you don't know. I mean, there's some incident that was happening just as I was walking back here earlier. This is where I am anyway, this area, but this kind of standard, kind of typical. But yeah,
city, the sort of just the London urban scene, really. Yeah, just the general.
Yeah, just typical, like how police
grease stain, chewing gum splattered pavements, and yeah,
there's a bunch of lime bikes all over the pavement. There are some people I think who've been scrapping. Police pulled up. I don't know exactly what was going on. It was the other side of the road, and I'm not a gorper. Everyone's still around gorping, right?
No, I'm not one of those. I try and take in as much details before I just take a glance, and I try and capture.
Yeah, exactly.
I might have a cheeky second glance, but I won't stand and gorp. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm the same. Yeah, I'll just walk past. I'll get a little bit of. I'll have a little look, obviously, as I'm walking past, but I'm not going to have a little fucking. Or they all like start closing in on it and stuff. It's like you give a shit.
There's such a cool short story. I think it's called The Crowd, and it's probably by someone like Ray Bradbury. But was it a Twilight Zone thing? It might be. But it's like this thing whenever anyone dies in the street or in a horrible accident or something, whatever it is, there's the crowd, and there's this crowd, and suddenly whenever that person dies or falls in the street, well, basically they fall down ill. The crowd comes. And the power of the crowd is such to make that person pass away. and then the crowd dissipates and moves on, and they find the next dying person wherever, and it's the same crowd. It's such a funny episode. So it's like the crowd actually hastens the death of the person by crowding them in their moments of weakness and such, and then they move on, and it's their sole purpose to find someone dying and stifle the light out of them by crowding them to death. Seen that? You ever heard of that before?
No,
I think it's a Ray Bradbury one.
What was the thing called again? The actual program or movie, whatever it was?
Oh man, well, I don't know. It was just a short story, but I'll just check it now, man. Because listen, while I'm doing that, since I'm going to do that, I've got a little job. I'm going to play this Hyacinth Bouquet thing. I don't think I won't get a copyright hit for this because it's like this channel's got not many views. So this is what we were saying. I mean, this is both an AI video about keeping up appearances, but it's also a song that the AI presumably has written. This is an AI song about keeping up appearances. Okay. Did you ever think you'd hear such a thing, right? So
yeah,
it's only got 3,000 subs, but it's a good piece of work. I'll just play this now. Yeah, I'll give what is it, 3 minutes? So we just take a little. We'll take an amnesty for 7 minutes. Okay, let's take a break here.
They call me Rocket, like I'm made of rocks, but my name's a fortress, and that I trust. I'm a bouquet, west out so high in the small town. I'm reaching for the sky. Don't call me Rocket. Can't you see I'm Hyacinth? The royal decree, dressed in lace, but I'm fierce as fire. Keeping up appearances, no one desire. Crystal glasses, silver lace, but behind my smile there's a darker face. No more whispers, no more lies. In my China kingdom I'll rise and rise. Crystal glasses, silver and lace, but behind my smile there's a darker face. No more whispers, no more lies. In my China kingdom I'll rise and rise. I'm not a bucket, no common trash, I'm royalty. I've got style and class with richer by my side. I'll fight my way in a world of roses. I'll never decay. Any cowards and lies of the shakes. Daisy and Hanzo making mistakes. But I stand tall in this house of steel. Bouquet in name, but iron I feel. Bring me my finest tea set, and remember it's broken red. The neighbors hide the gossip roars, but I'm marching through, I'm slamming doors. A tidal wave of proper rage, unleashing fury from age to age. Don't call me bucket, I'll make you see there's fire in this family tree. In my quiet garden there's a battle cry for every crop of fruit, where we fight till we die. A porcelain heart and an iron will. In this world of bucket I'm queen still. For Hyacinth, the pride remains in the battle for class. I reign with change. Hide the gossip roars, but I'm marching through, I'm slamming doors. A tidal wave of proper rage, unleashing fury from age to age. Don't call me bucket, I'll make you see there's fire in this family tree. In my quiet garden there's a battle cry for every crop of fruit, where we fight till we die. With a porcelain heart and an iron will. In this world of bucket I'm queen still.
Yeah, that's from YouTube channel Beer Tap or
Or
Beer
how
Tap.
the fuck has that person got 3,000 subs?
I know. I know. I agree. I know. That's quite an old video as well. It's good, isn't it? It's actually quite. It's good. It's
No,
really
I was
good,
just
isn't
saying
it?
shit, to be honest with you. I was like, how has this person got 3,000 views? That's supposed to be like, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something like what the fuck? What was that? That was quite funny though, to be fair.
Oh, I
mean,
thought it was
the visuals are
really.
all right. The music's
Quite
fucking
like it.
terrible, but like the visuals are
No,
very
I
well.
weirdly I quite like the music, but yeah,
No, but the way
I
it's
think
done,
I
I'm
like
not,
the
like,
lyrics. I
on
mean,
the
even though it's
genre.
AI, huh? Oh, that genre.
I'm not
Yeah.
meaning like the genre as such, but the fucking just the way it's just not technically well done for me, to be honest with you.
Oh,
But,
well, all
like,
right. Well, that's all right.
so
That's interesting.
the visuals are all
It's
right.
an AI created song, so
Yeah, but it's still like, I mean, I don't know if there's some audio issues or something, but I mean, it just didn't sound like it was at all mastered or mixed properly. But anyway,
yeah, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's just someone's put it into AI.
well,
and
we
it's,
can do way better than that already. But it's just like
Well,
it's still got a long way
yeah.
to go.
Yeah, all right. I mean, the thing is, you're probably more of a technical musician person. Well, I'm a musician, but you're pretty more sound tech. But I don't know. I thought it's cool. It made me laugh. But the thing is, the last time I saw this was a year. This was about 3 years ago. I think I saw this. I don't know. No, I'm not sure about that.
With the visuals, though, if you know what I mean. It doesn't really, for me, it just didn't seem to go with the visuals. The visuals are done well. The visuals are done fine, really.
Oh, I don't know when I saw this.
Well, I mean, I say fine. I mean, they're all right, but like, you know, just like why that tune? It doesn't make any sense to me. But how many likes has it got? What, 490, 109 comments? When was that? Sorry, 6 months ago.
6 months ago, yeah.
6 months ago.
No, I mean, I've got a lot of praise for Beer Tap, actually. I mean, he's only got 2,000 subscribers. I mean, he's got a whole series of all sorts of.
Oh, what? Where he just put that kind of rock music over those things? Is that his thing? There's quite a few views going on there. Getting quite a few views on things, to be fair.
They're pretty funny, actually. He does a whole sort of series of Gordon Ramsay and a monkey. And I think, did we not watch the China one? I think we
watched
did.
One a few weeks ago.
Same guy we watched.
Yeah, we watched one a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I believe so. Which was another Ramsey one. I'm sure you showed me another Ramsey one, but it was a little while ago. I can't remember what it was now because there's quite a lot of them, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the reason I played that was to sort of point out the fact that they can already create music. I mean, those lyrics were created by AI, and everything with the music was created by AI. And there is some cloud service or something where you can just put prompts in, it will make a song for you, or it'll write poetry. I mean, writing poetry by AI is the easiest thing in the world now.
I've not seen you can do it, but I haven't tried it.
You weren't depressed. You weren't depressed. You weren't impressed either. But I was kind of surprised. I was like that, but that was 6 months ago. It wasn't a few years, but 6 months ago. I kind of like. I mean, there's nothing like. Okay, in terms of AI videos, okay, we see a lot of it in adverts now, you know, and such. But it's moving so fast that you won't be able to tell.
Oh yeah, 6 months is no time at all, as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to get. I'm not sure what they're going to do about it from a legal perspective. Like when how like you just said, people aren't going to be able to tell what is done by it and what isn't. So like, how is that going to work exactly from a legal perspective? Because you can just say that something's real when it's not, and vice versa, and it's potentially going to be a little bit messy, and no one's going to know what exactly is real. Or are they going to?
Well, that's why that guy was suicided, mate. That's what I mean. It's like it's so dirty, it's so sticky. But once human blood starts to be spilled in the name of AI, that's now you got problematic. Really, then you've become. Then it's what? Then it's something that isn't just an innocent, not just an innocent abstract sort of experiment, or it's not even a way we can improve the future. Once people start being murdered in the name of AI, then it's become despotic and tyrannical. I mean, that's just the beginning as well, right? So,
I mean, not to mention robot wars and like using robotics.
I love that show. Yeah.
I mean, like you, don't not wishing to sound sort of pessimistic, but you would think that that's going to that will be used, because obviously you don't have to use humans. You don't have to have humans.
Oh yeah. They'll already do that. Yeah, they'll just do that.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing would be to be killed by a robot dog, though.
A robot dog.
Yeah, I mean, it would be terrible to be killed by a robot dog. It would be better to be killed by a robot lion or a robot bear or a robot dinosaur. I'd rather have that, because there's some dignity in being killed by a dinosaur, even if it's a robot one.
Yeah,
But to be killed by a dog is pathetic and it's embarrassing. You know, that's what worries me about them robot dogs.
Oh,
They look so cute and everything, but they'll just be struggling machine guns in like the next 20 years to deal with people.
I suppose with
protesting
relativity, there aren't any robot lion or robot dinosaurs, though. So you haven't, like, does that?
Not yet. There will be. And I would be almost be happy to kill that robot T-Rex. You know, that'd be cool. Final minutes. You know,
a Future Shock song, which is available from all good stockists, is called Mecha Mammoth. A few years ago, Mecha Mammoth, and it was about.
You already Mecha Mammoth by Future Shock.
Yeah, that's.
Can we play it without getting a copyright strike? Seriously, Mecha Mammoth.
We'll probably get another copyright.
See, yeah, Mecha Mammoth. This is again the synchronicity, because Mecha Mammoth sounds just like Robot Dinosaur. Cool. It's on YouTube.
I wonder if it's. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube. But I can have a look. Let me have a look.
YouTube. Oh, play Mecha Mammoth in sort of anticipation of our ultimate destruction by robot dogs and robot animals, and hopefully robot animals.
Here we go. Oh, is that it? No. Yeah. No, that's it. I found it. Yeah, I found it. Here it is. I haven't heard this for ages. Do you want me to send you the link?
Do you want to share? Can you share? You can put it on.
Share, can I? That's the thing. So I can send you the link.
By email?
Hang on.
Yeah, I'll do that, bro. Yeah, you set it in the private chat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So we'll play that. Yeah.
There you go. So
I got it, man. Nice.
I hope this is the right tune. It is, of course, the right tune.
5 minutes long. We'll play that in a minute. Yeah, we'll play that in a moment. I think I want to talk about. I don't think I wanted to. I know I want to talk about the sun, because solar activity has just been extraordinary for months now. So, have you had anything have you been watching the news, or have you been subjected to any of the terrorization tactics that are taking place in the scientific journals and NASA? Where they're trying to tell people that the end of the world is coming, basically, because the sun is now becoming unstable, you know?
But it's reaching its solar maximum at the moment, isn't it, as they say, I think?
That's right. The 11-year cycle. It's presently the solar maximum. But something really weird happened that freaked the scientists out, because there's a maximum period of sunspots. And for some reason, the sunspot number had just dropped off dramatically. Down. It was like up from 180 for a few days, and then it dropped to 80, and that's not even halfway through the cycle. And so scientists, astrophysicists, are having to radically reconsider the nature of these cycles, and even if they can even predict them, or whether there's some kind of inherent chaos theory factor, because chaos theory really fundamentally is about the unpredictability of natural phenomenon, because there is always a hidden element that they can't access, that they can't calculate, they can't compute, and they can't mathematize. Do you know what I mean?
So what would they
predicted suddenly breaks down in the middle of the cycle? They don't know why. Do you know what I mean? And they're freaking out.
Okay, so it's more a case of it's the unknown, so it's out of sync with the usual pattern and stuff. It's a bit unusual
in the sense that usually during the solar maximum there's a period of 200 sunspots every day, every day, never less than 150, for instance. And the pattern is usually once the sun gets into a heavy high sunspot cycle, it stays in that cycle. But recently, like a week ago, the sunspot number went down, like as I said, and it went into a different sort of almost a quiet sort of lack of activity. Not a lack of activity, but a lack of sunspots. And
So what do they think that mean? What could that potentially mean in terms of bad?
Oh, they don't know. That's the point. Actually, they literally don't know. They're just flabbergasted that the cycle has just changed, and they don't know what it means. It's quite funny to see a scientist who doesn't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, that's what's going on. But that's not really the biggest deal about the sun. I mean, do you know there was a on London? You're a London lad, and I am at the moment, right? So May the 12th, there was a sort of a reported London Underground outage of power, during which the Underground certain lines were not operational. There was no power, and they couldn't understand why. Did you get any? Were you stuck on a train any time on 12th?
See, I don't use a tube, so I use an overground. But I know it affected a few lines. Yeah, it was said to be a fault on the national grid, wasn't it?
Well, exactly. A power failure impacted London Underground Elizabeth line. Yeah. So National Grid reported a fault on its transmission network in central London. So the belief is, well, frankly, a lot of astrophysicists actually on YouTube are saying this, in particular, geophysicist Stefan Bu. I'll just get him up because I want to have my citations. Do you know what I mean? I've got my citations, and Stefan Bu is my citation. If I can get him, where is he gone? Yeah, basically, I'll just find him though. I've lost the video. Too many videos.
Stefan Burns. Oh, okay.
Stefan Bu. Let me see. Is this the start of some truly legendary solar activity? Here we are. So this is the fellow, and he's got nearly 300,000 subs, and he's a geophysicist, and he said that the 12th of May, London Underground and Elizabeth line outage was a result of solar activity, and it's interesting. And he said that. I mean, news won't tell you that. Can you see the screen? Is it not sharing? Is it?
Not sharing, no.
There it is. I'll just play a little bit of Stefan Bu before I get copyright infringement. See, it's a learning process here. Future Shock. Well, I'm trying to find a way not to get the channel removed. So. Despite you playing your own music and then nearly getting a copyright strike, we're doing our best, aren't we, really? So, did they apologize? They didn't even apologize to you, right?
Of course they didn't.
No, it's terrible, isn't it?
Well, TikTok, did it work? Just before you play that.
Oh, yeah, what did TikTok do?
I meant to say about that, it was even more bizarre because basically we used to create these TikTok quiz videos. So they're kind of like about a minute long or whatever. And I used to put music in the background, and I did one for that day. And I literally made the music 10 minutes before posting the video. So the music was so freshly made, it was 10 minutes old. Yeah. And I put it on the TikTok video, and the TikTok video got taken down, banned, and I got banned, not officially, but basically shadow banned after that, because they refused to believe that wasn't my own music. I tried 3 times with them to tell them I'd literally just made that. It was a minute long. I literally just made that in my software. 10 minutes before posting.
Crazy.
And they wouldn't believe or whatever. I don't know, believe or whatever it is, but they judged it to have to stand. So the video got taken down. And then, funnily enough, when I posted subsequent videos after that, everything got 0 views all of a sudden. Everything. And so I ended up posting about, because I was getting anywhere between like 100 and 1,000 views. I just started the channel, so I was trying to build it up. Sometimes I'm getting like 5,000 plus views. And then suddenly it was, after that incident, it was 0, 0, 0. I mean, come on, it's obvious, isn't it? So they banned their
butts sore on them, but they're cooling their butt hurt down, man, and they're taking out. That's pretty bad. Is that TikTok though? Is that what they do? Yeah.
They do all sorts of stupid shit like that to people, honestly.
Yeah. So I'll just play a little minute of Stefan Bu just to give us some kind of sense of the sort of quasi hysterical Armageddon, sort of end of the world sort of feelings of these scientists. Can you hear that?
Burns with breaking news. We have just had
Is that coming over, bro?
Another massive plasma filament blast off from the northern hemisphere of the sun. And well, if you've been following the channel and tracking an update for you.
So this is basically that was the solar flare. That's like, this is the activity. It's been going on all week. particularly
What are we looking at there?
40.
What's that we're looking at?
That's the sun, brother. That's the sun.
I know, but like, what's the whole thing around it? Like, what's the?
Well, because it's I don't because the brightness or something to give it some contrast so you can see the other stuff.
I'll be back with an update.
Because you're not looking at the sun, you're looking at the corona. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the idea is to look at the corona, see the activity.
For you with
I didn't really get that. Let's try that again.
to show up on our chronograph view, but I'll be back with an update for
So
you.
yeah, there's an
with
explosion there.
almost
There's all that's
everyone
going
with
on
the
every day.
G2G magnetic storm. Though we were well prepared here on the channel because 6 weeks ago we had forecasted out that something would occur on May 17th as it relates to solar activity and or geomagnetic disturbances, which is exactly what happened. So we'll see.
So I like his T-shirt. It's like got a psychedelic T-shirt. You see that? It's like a mushroom with a.
Oh yeah, there's a mushroom with the eye on, with the one eye.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. It's like an Aminata agaric. It's like an Aminata muscaria, agaric.
Yeah, that is the Garrett.
Which
Yeah,
you
that's
can
definitely
like-
a Garrett
Can
mushroom.
be used for magic mushrooms, but it's not the best. It just makes
It's
you sick.
terrible, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, it's terrible. It just makes you feel ill. I think. And just
I remember
deliriously
getting one, but just after they banned mushrooms in the UK, I remember getting one, finding the fly agaric one, thinking, okay, maybe this will work. I was hearing good things about it for some reason, and nothing really. All it did was there was something in it because it kind of kept me awake.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Muscarine, yeah. It's called the fly agaric because muscarine was used to kill flies as a mushroom fancier. I know a few things about mushrooms. I know where they live.
I know a place close to here, and I should be less lazy, and I should stop complaining about them being illegal and actually get off my arse and go and pick them because I do know where there are.
Oh well, yeah. Obviously, it's sort of autumn, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if there's spring
when the time comes. I mean, when the time comes.
Yeah, me too. I used to live near Hampstead Heath, and I just could never be bothered to get up early enough. And one time I did go. I went about 9 o'clock. It's pathetic. And I did find a single one. I found a single psilocybin. It's not cubensis, but psilocybin. What's the generis of the standard magic mushroom?
Yeah, cubensis. Isn't it?
Is it cubensis? I don't think it is. I think it's something else. But yeah, I found a single one that had just been missed by everyone else who'd got up early. But that's it. The only way to do it is to get up
Like, you
early.
just had to, what time? Like, ideally, what time would you have had to get up then? What, like dawn?
Yeah, that's it. I think they do get up at dawn for the magic mushrooms. Yeah.
Or you just stay up.
I know, man. That would be the thing to do, but I think I was working, which is annoying. Do you know what I mean? I was at work, so I wasn't at work. I was like working, so I couldn't do exciting, interesting things like that because I had to think about. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I woke up at dawn or something, if I stayed up all night, I'd throw off my sensitive work. 9 to 5. Sort of sleep patterns and mind patterns, and they'd throw it all to part. I'd become a party boy, and I'd just quit work and give up on it. But yeah,
that's
why
why
I put it
ideal.
in.
That's kind of what I did with work when I was in my early 20s, and so that was fun. But yeah, so it was a sad day when they got banned. Really was, I still get the
psilocybe semi-lanceta or something. That's the common one. So Liberty Cap is known as Latin name, I guess. Psilocybe semi-lanceta. Semi-lanceta, is that for
the genus psilocybe.
Yeah.
Semi-lancens, azuricens, semi-lanceta. Almost poetic. Mushrooms are poetic anyway. They are the poetry of nature.
It sounds like some kind of European sports car. But yeah, okay, so about the sun activity is relatively interesting. So apparently there's been a coronal mass ejection, and the Earth has been exposed to the solar wind, which when the corona sort of breaks open, due to, we don't even know. Basically science doesn't know how the sun really works and why it does its thing, but it has sunspots, which are sort of areas and nodes of demagnetization where the temperature drops, and then once you have sunspots, you have a higher risk of coronal mass ejection, which is like where the magnetic flux has become so unstable that energy is spewed out of the sun at an astonishing rate. And we've been bombarded with these. With the coronal mass ejection, you end up being exposed to the solar wind. And I don't know, I think solar wind sounds quite invigorating. I mean, I wouldn't mind being exposed to the solar wind. Can't be any worse than the northeast wind from up north. You know, when I was walking to school and coming home at night in the gale, but you know,
it gives us the aurora borealis at least.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yeah,
field, isn't it? So I think, isn't it? It's interaction with the magnetic shield, is it?
Yeah. Well, the solar wind, when it interacts with the magnetic field of Earth, it sort of absorbs that energy and sort of spews it up over the northern and southern areas, and it's like that's magnetic energy, and it's from the solar wind. I mean, there's a kind of funny I think there was like a sort of like a YouTube short or something where they're showing the solar activity and how beautiful the aurora borealis is, but then showing that the sun, what it's doing to create the borealis. I'll see if I can find it, and it says, "Isn't it funny when the sun's trying to kill you?"
Yeah, basically, he's trying to kill everyone on Earth.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I do question that personally, but I think it's a funny moment. It's a funny little like thing to say. Yeah, isn't it funny when the sun's trying to kill you? Because looking at the sort of energy discharges involved and the effects on the Earth's magnetic field, it looks like it does look like lethal.
It's a distance thing. It's just we're quite close to it still, isn't it? So I mean, we're just lucky that we're not much further in. If we were much further in, we wouldn't survive, would we? So, and that's why instead of dying, we've developed the magnetic shield. Although there is some debate about this I've had with people about why the magnetic shield exists in the first place. I understand it's to do with like the turning inside the Earth and stuff, but it's perhaps that is to do with as a reaction, as a protective thing back in the day, given the solar wind and the sort of battering that the planet gets from the sun. Perhaps it was able to develop this kind of shield, and once it had, life was then able to sort of prosper. But if we were much closer, that wouldn't happen because we just get fried. So
yeah, that's interesting. I've heard the theory from Robert Schoch, who's an Egyptologist, and his theory is that Mars's atmosphere was depleted and washed away, or dried out by the solar wind or by coronal discharges.
Right.
Robert Schoch, he's well known as being an ancient Egyptologist, and sort of dating the Sphinx as one of those things as much older than it appears. Or no, rather. It appears much older than
the Sphinx. Maybe think of something
dating
else.
The Sphinx. Yeah.
Do you think the Sphinx is high maintenance? If you're dating the
Sphinx,
Sphinx,
is high maintenance.
If you're dating the Sphinx, do you think it's high maintenance?
Oh, nice! Yeah, slam the uptake. Yeah, why is it? Yeah, well, it is high maintenance. Really, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
you have to wait a long time for it to get ready with all the headdress and stuff like this. Do you know what I mean?
All that water damage, from the time when Egypt was a tropical paradise. Years of water damage, yeah. Okay, so listen, I'm just going to play this. This is like a visualization of the solar wind and kind of what it does. Can you see that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Got that? Okay, let's bang it on.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these before.
I need to start from here. I don't think I'll get a copyright strike for this video. I hope not.
It's quite crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like that thing, isn't it? It's like that feeling of. I mean, I don't get it personally, but if you imagine if you didn't believe in anything, you just were like a rational, humanist, materialistic perspective, that kind of thing would terrify you. You just because you think the universe is random and like infinite and limitless, and there's no meaning or point behind it. I don't know. You'd find that really terrifying. I'm not terrified by the sun, but Do you know? I mean, it is frightening. I mean, I'm not saying you have that perspective, but it is frightening. Do you know what I mean? But
No, I mean, yeah, you can think that it's frightening, but not be frightened at the same time. I mean, it's formidable, of course. It's like a million times just the sheer size. If you understand, well, you can't really understand the sheer size of it. Obviously, we apply numbers. We say it's a million. You can fit 1 million Earths in the sun, which is supposed to give you some idea of the scale, but realistically, that doesn't give you any kind of idea. You've got no grasp of anything that's really much bigger than sort of like Earth and the moon. Like, obviously we understand that there are bigger things, like, you know, locally, like Jupiter, whatever, but you don't really have a grasp of how big those things are. You only really have a grasp of how things are kind of on Earth. Mount Everest, big hills. You could go up to the moon, maybe the seen pictures of the Earth from the outside, the space stations and stuff, but you have no idea how to properly grasp as a human being how big the sun is, 1 million times the size of the Earth. You have no idea. That's just words. You don't know how to actually really understand that properly as a thing. And so in that sense, it is kind of frightening, because it's just like, you know, what that thing can be capable of, as we're seeing with the solar flares and stuff like this.
Yeah, I like to have some confidence and faith, at least, that, you know, God and his angels and quantum, you know, sort of innate order has arranged things that the sun won't deliberately kill us, at least not yet.
Not yet. I mean, eventually, isn't it? I personally think it's most likely going to be. Actually, no. Do you know what? I won't say that. I was going to say it's probably most likely going to be an asteroid.
You're going to give an end of the world date. You're going to give a prophesize, brother, prophesy.
Well, because people talk about the sun swelling up to engulf the Earth. Well, it won't quite engulf the Earth, but with the sun swelling up in 5 billion years, or the Andromeda Galaxy hitting us in 5 billion years, it seems more likely that it would be something like an Oumuamua, a random thing just out of the cosmos, at some point would hit us before all that happened. That said, if we were developed enough to be able to detect it, you know, a bit better than we are now, because Oumuamua came out of nowhere. Do you know what? That genuinely, like, I don't get. We're talking about being slightly like perturbed by cosmic things, like not by the sun.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I agree with you. These things don't sort of frighten me as such. But
Yeah, I know what you mean, right? Don't be frightened by it. Yeah.
But something that did scare me a little bit was how that Oumuamua just flew past us without being detected, and scientists were just kind of like, "Whoops." It's like this thing came from absolutely nowhere and almost sort of essentially brushed past us, and no one saw it coming. That's kind of worrying.
Was it genuinely like a threat, though? Was it like, how close was it, though? Was it sort of...
Well, it didn't even have to be that close. It's just the fact that it was not detected, and it just all happened quite quickly.
I remember them sort of thinking the shape was weird and it looked more like a spaceship or something.
Well, I think it was more of a sort of cigarette shape type thing, long and thin type thing. Rather
it's kind of regularly shaped, wasn't it? So it kind of like, obviously people who are kind of suggestible can easily be induced to believe that because it had sort of some straight sides or something, it could be a UFO spaceship. And
I was more worried about it being like a shard from something much bigger, and hence the shape of it being a bit kind of weird, because it's like a shard from an explosion. But we would have been able to detect that surely anyway. So I don't know. It was very random.
So I've got an article here. I'm just going to share. You can see that it's
not
about
Future Shock.
No, it's not Future Shock. It's another episode, Solar Shock. It's like a twin brother of Future Shock. So again, I think it's in honor of the show. I think they must be sort of one of our few subscribers of this. They must have thought, Truth Shock, but Solar Shock. Yeah, that sounds good. So. This is BT. This is Business Today. This is kind of almost. This is almost like respectable online journalism. Okay, and they're sort of some kind of almost. They're kind of saying some extremist things, like plasma solar shock. Sun's plasma current flips in a rare event. Scientists were of century-long solar chaos. That's pretty kind of hyperbolic. You know, it's kind of like. And this is a business paper. Solar flares and coronal mass injections are not just more frequent, they're growing stronger, prompting warnings about potential fallouts for Earth-bound systems.
They're growing stronger.
Yeah, but I've no idea why. They don't know. They only really know there's a few cycles, sun cycles they understand, but the 11-year cycle is understood by most people. But there are other cycles. But it's this point of this happening has like led them to, they're confused. They don't know what's happening. They can't predict what's happening to the sun. And so they say it's literally reset the solar clock in a way not seen for more than 100 years. So yeah, we've got the 11-year solar cycle, which most people, well, maybe people don't know about it, but most of journalism and the media understand it. So yeah, the solar storms can cripple GPS network, and as we saw, potentially shut down underground train systems and such. It's quite interesting.
That is quite relevant. Why that and not other things that? Well, why not something overground? Why is it or is it just?
Because that uses so much electricity. Because it's the transform. The idea of this is that the solar. Well, I've actually got something I wanted to say from history about this. We'll give you an insight into this. Let's see. In 1859, there was like a massive geomagnetic storm on Earth, and it's known as the Carrington event. The Carrington event is like one of the the examples of solar wind directly interacting with technology at the time. So what I have here is there's a story here of wireless operators. Telegraph operators. So the telegraph, the old way of sending messages around the world, and it used Morse code. And you just tap. You'd make out the operator would make out the messages on Morse code, and then they would be sent with a battery which would power it to send it to the other side of the world, wherever. So this is so weird though. But in September 1859, there's a count of two operators, the conversation on where they found that they could still send messages despite disconnecting from the power supplies. So the following conversation occurred during this Carrington event, this solar storm, and this coronal mass injection. So the Boston, this is the night of 2nd of September 1859. It occurred between two operators. I don't know how it was recorded, but it was recorded presumably by telegraph. So with Morse codes, and the Morse codes were then decoded, and I presume that's how it was. It was reported by the Boston Evening Traveler. The Boston operator saying to the Portland operator, "Please cut off your battery entirely for 15 minutes." The Portland operator then says, "Will do." It's now disconnected. Boston, "Mine is disconnected, and we are working with the auroral current."
Right. Okay.
How do you receive my writing? Yeah, auroral current is interesting, isn't it? So their batteries are disconnected, yet they are still able to send messages to each other. And as the Boston operator said, we're working with the auroral current. How do you receive my rating? From Portland, the operator says, better than with our batteries on. The current comes and goes gradually. Boston, my current is very strong at times, and we can work better without the batteries, as the aurora seems to neutralize and augment our batteries alternately.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense though, doesn't it?
Yeah, does it? Tell me how then.
Increase, like, if it is a general increase, I don't know what the word would be, aura maybe even, of electric activity.
It's aurora that they use because they call it an auroral current, presumably in reference to the aurora borealis and such.
Yeah, it would make sense though if there was heightened geomagnetic activity that they would be able to work without battery potentially if it was heightened enough, because it would be better than the kind of 1859 batteries sort of thing.
Actually, you're right. Battery is direct current, and there's always a lot of trouble. There was the current wars between Tesla and Edison, of course, if you know about that stuff.
Yeah.
And batteries are always direct current, but he's saying that we're working with alternate current. It seems the current seems to. It's amazing, but it makes the thing is he says it neutralizes and augments our batteries, making the current too strong at times for the batteries, so they have to disconnect them. So what it means is that the current from the sun it neutralizes the batteries, it stops them working. So they literally switched off their batteries during the solar storm because it worked better. And so they were just using the energy. It's amazing, isn't it? They were using the solar energy to the electromagnetic energy from the sun as a big, huge sort of like battery that was just sort of present for that time, like a constantly flowing current. And in a sense, you plug anything into the flowing current. I mean, this is what Nikola Tesla was trying to do, wasn't it? If you've sort of seen any of his sort of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like moving towards what the sort of
bringing the current from the air, you know.
The sort of thing people have been talking about, just in that respect, basically being able to harness it in a more natural way as such, not having these sort of contraptions, because obviously what they were doing in the Carrington event was just harnessing it as naturally as was possible, certainly possible at the time anyway.
So then the Boston operator suggests, why don't we work without batteries while we are affected by this trouble? And the Portland says, okay, go ahead, very well. And then they continue with the business of whatever they're doing. That conversation probably was carried on for 2 hours with no battery power at all. And working solely
trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it is, isn't it? It is interesting. Yeah. And that they accept that the thing is the auroral current, you know, which is kind of like, wow, you actually are admitting that there's a current, the sun sends a sort of solar storm to the earth, and it creates, that's how powerful it is, it creates a current.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, you know, the video you just showed a few moments ago, you can see, I mean, I know it's obviously sort of crudely sort of like, sort of like guessed or whatever, but obviously there is going to be an extremely powerful current that would likely overpower batteries and contraptions in the 1800s and be better to use. So it's just funny that they call it trouble. It's like you're actually being enhanced during this trouble.
Yeah, that was it. They were actually enhanced. It was actually better. It worked better than the batteries. The solar current, yeah, it was incredible.
Crazy.
So they worked for hours, yeah, with no power at all. So I believe you're going to head off pretty soon. I was just saying one more thing. There was another event. Yeah, and then I'll just play a song and play us out or something. But there's another sort of solar event in 775 AD during the period in which Charles the Great reigned over the sort of post-Roman Frankish Empire in medieval Europe. During the Miyake solar event, an Anglo-Saxon chronicle records a red crucifix in the sky after sunset in the year 774. Excuse me. Some scholars believe this may be a visual record of the solar storm that occurred around 775. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little cough. Do you want to fill in for a bit? I just got to mute.
Well, I was just looking up the Miyake event. So the Miyake solar event, the Miyake events, actually, there's a plural. They're creating it's like a rise in cosmogenic isotopes due to cosmic rays. These cosmic rays that we're kind of talking about hitting the Earth's upper atmosphere. So, yeah, I'm trying to find the year this was in, because someone's done a typo here for sure, as they've typed, where is it? I've lost it now. Where is it? They typed like it was in 2089, which last time I checked is in the future. So I think there might be a typo there. So I'm not sure when exactly it came from. But yeah, it's these solar events. So maybe we are due one then. But that's what I was going to ask before as well. Like, how regularly are these actual solar events? So how regular do we have these kind of little almost weather patterns to some degree where everything gets messed up and we get like heightened electric currents and all this? Is this every like couple of 100 years or something? Like, how regular?
Yeah, they don't seem to be able to predict the cycle. But yeah, that's a good question. And a lot of astrophysicists are working on that right now. You know?
Where it says solar year 20, when we say solar year, just to clarify, do we mean like journey around? What is the journey around? The center of the galaxy, is it?
Yeah, no. The solar year is just a year. It's 365 days.
Oh,
so,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Earth around the sun, sort of thing. Oh,
yeah.
Why don't they just call it a year? Why does it have to be called a solar year? Solar year as opposed to what? If it's the Earth around the sun as opposed to the Earth around what? Like the galaxy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, cool.
So, okay, I've stopped coughing now. I can share this. This is quite interesting. It's comparison of the solar activity, how the sun behaves. He's got a bit of acne. Yeah, that's the solar maximum. They're the sunspots. They're periods of loss of magnetic cohesion, and the temperature decreases in those. And because of stability, often leads to some kind of solar flare.
Sunspots and almost no solar
Can you hear that?
flares or CME.
Just about.
In contrast,
Yeah, look at the difference between the sun on the left and on the right.
the solar maximum, sunspots increase significantly, and solar flares and CMEs occur frequently. Another striking feature of the solar
I better not play anymore.
And each of those sunspots is about the size of Earth.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's just craziness, man. Absolutely. Like, this is what I mean when I say that it's just sort of like, it's just words. You can't really, you can do your best by doing these comparisons, you know, a sunspot is the same size of Earth, but that still doesn't really do it justice. It doesn't really kind of like identify it properly. It just sort of, it just makes you think, wow, that's insanely big. And considering, and then, you know, the sun as well. So, and then the sun's it's kind of an average sun, isn't it? Like, or a pretty small sun, really, compared to what they could be like Stephenson's and all that when they go up to that sort of level. It's just you can't. It's just madness, man. It's absolute madness.
Well, Robert Schoch believes that solar activity. I did think I mentioned that it took away the atmosphere of Mars, but it's also responsible for some of the scarring and what was sort of seen as canals and such by people who observed Mars in like the 18th century and such. But you know, I mean, I'm not afraid of my sun, of course, but I don't know. There's like a lot of like right now. There's a lot of hysteria in science that they don't like it because they don't know what's happening. And if I look now, solar activity, I've got.
But what's the worst that they think could happen? I mean, what, just a really bad solar flare that completely fucks up everything that's going on, everything electrical.
Well, they don't know what the worst that can happen. We might be seeing the worst in terms of what happened in Spain and London, but they just don't know. I mean, because the aurora current, if you remember the operators of the telegram officers called it aurora current, and they couldn't use their batteries because it would neutralize them. It kind of overloaded them, and then it sort of neutralized them. So I suppose that's what's happening, is that the current arm that's running on on London Underground as such is being neutralized by this electromagnetic field. It's just sort of shutting it down. It's just neutralizing it or overcharging it alternately, which is what they said. Augments and overloads, augments or neutralizes, because it's like an alternate current. So it's sort of, it has troughs and peaks and troughs of, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, so 14 hours ago, BBC, NASA spots 2 large solar flares. Australian experts explain the dangers. NASA issues emergency alert. This is quite.
Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? The sun's coming for you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Where's your bunker going to be? You know, how can you,
There's one thing
out
when the sun's up. It's the sun, isn't it? Really.
New York Post scientists order issue urgent warning over solar storm threats, blackouts. Yeah, so the threat is that it could lead to blackouts, to overloading electrical systems, to shutting down transformers, and ultimately, and even potentially, even in theory, if the storm was strong enough, even your mobile phone would be sort of, could be fried or just neutralized. Just like instantly would lose its battery. It would just be neutralized, or it could be overloaded, one or the other.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about, I mean, I don't know if you agree with it or not, but just in the sense of like people not realizing just how much of an effect can be had by like the sun or by even the moon on the earth and all the things that go on Earth. it's more than you think. Like they may seem a long way away, they may seem sort of innocuous to some degree, but as we've seen with the solar wind example, there's a massive effect happening. And that what's not to say that other bodies like Jupiter, Saturn, especially those two like giant bodies, aren't having some kind of effect as well that we don't yet understand. This is why I don't automatically dismiss like astrology as kind of a sort of basic idea. I mean, I think obviously like there's a lot of like bullshit around astrology, but the idea that like other planets could influence things on Earth somehow in terms of like humans and human behavior, I don't think it's that crazy, to be fair.
Okay, I've just seen your. Should we play Mecha Mammoth then? Should we play that and
Yeah, we
then
can
just
play that and then do a few.
Well, it's
minutes.
that 5 minutes, and then we'll have a little, and then a minute, and then we'll close out. Should we do that? Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool, man. So this is Mecha Mammoth by our very own Future Shock.
Yeah, this is by me. It was out on Hardpoint Records LP Volume 1, mixed artists. Hardpoint Records' first ever mixed artist LP back in 2019. Well, there you go. It says it there.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing this. So, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever other alien life forms or other things may be listening to this somehow. Unicorns, yeah. Enjoy. Okay.
I have some weird ideas sometimes, don't I? From music track. There you go, Mecha Mammoth.
Okay, yeah, that was lovely. That was delightful, and I'm glad to see we've gone for nearly 2 hours. So without getting worn out too much.
Yeah, my
So,
eyes
yeah.
survived. I'm quite impressed. That's encouraging,
Yeah.
actually.
Did
I
you
think
wear
it's
an
got
eye
slightly
patch?
better
as I
today, you
suggested?
know? Sorry?
Did you wear an eye patch?
No, but I think like because of the fogginess I was talking about, it seems to be a bit better. I don't want to speak too soon because, I was getting a bit paranoid yesterday about it. Like, oh, what if I've got an issue with my eye? Because I never had fogginess before, just
That's
had
pretty-
the pain.
Yeah,
But it seems
okay.
to be less foggy now than it was this morning, I think. So that's good. Because, birthday coming up in a few days, I didn't want to be half blind for it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
bring
I
it
mean,
blind,
his
blind.
eye patches are cool, but having perfect vision and not being half blind is probably, that's cooler.
It's preferable, definitely.
It is because I had problems with my eyes one time. I had light sensitivity issues, so I literally could have worn an eye patch, and to take the dazzle off the eye. But I was like, oh, it's just not. It's like I'm wearing an eye patch because it's not a cool eye patch. It's a tragic eye patch. I think Brian Ferry wore an eye patch, and he generally did have an eye problem.
I think
on the
Danger
video.
Mouse had an eye problem as well.
Then I wonder what happened to Danger Mouse's eye, because he's a mouse and they do live very sort of hectic lives, and there's a lot of claws and sort of fighting over burrows and fighting over the most aromatic female and such like that. That's why rats are very aromatic creatures. They live by power of smell. So I wonder if Danger Mouse lost his eye in some kind of ratting incident, fighting over a particularly sort of a fine female specimen of mousehood. And that was it. It was some kind of rutting game. You'd like to think Danger Mouse would be beyond such things, but none of us are really. If we're honest,
Well, and he paid for it with his eye, so it's an eye for eyeing someone up, isn't it? That's what you get for eyeing someone up. You pay with an eye.
I suppose that's it. I suppose that's maybe where it comes from. That must
It's
be
a metaphor, basically, for don't stalk people.
Yeah.
It's all lost, it's all lost in translation a bit, it's just a 1981 program. Do you know what I mean? It's just very, very, it's different. It was a different way of thinking back then.
Yeah, but Brian Ferry generally did sport an eye patch. I mean, I think David Bowie's eye patchery was probably a little bit more, less medically essential than Brian Ferry's. So when did this eye problem start with you?
Just a couple. Well, to be honest with you, because I do all the music work and that, over the years, I've noticed that about once a year I get this, and it's been ages since I've had it, and it lasts for a few days and then goes away. It's just kind of like stinging. I think because literally what's happening is like the glare of the computer, the laptop, whatever screen it is you're using, is sort of slowly kind of burning at your eye. It's kind of like burning your eye.
Yeah, my eyesight's kind of effed up, man, because I'm using a laptop and stuff for so much. My near sight is going quite dramatically badly, actually. I can't really read things that are close to me now.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
The opposite for me is just always just the long sight, but it's kind of been eroded away over time, I think. But yeah, it just seems to get this thing every year or so where it just kind of like stings me for a little bit, and I can't. It's much better than it was the other day. I was late. I was late doing what I needed to do that day because I had to get my eye used to light. So I had to get it slowly used to light. It was like so sensitive 2 days ago. So it's definitely a lot better since then. I just got to be a bit careful like how long I look at the computer screen for, because I don't want this thing to just like plod along. I want this thing to fuck off basically in the next couple of days at maximum. So
yeah. Otherwise, you'll just have to turn up to your birthday with an eye patch.
It
And
could
that
have
could
an
be
extra
kind of-
sort
that
of,
could
like,
work out for you,
I mean, if at any point you can go out with an eye patch on, I guess it's your birthday. I guess that's one of the times where you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Unless you are Brian Ferry, and he says here, I've got to quote him. He says that it wasn't a practical, it wasn't a piratical fashion thing. I love the idea of pirate fashion. as many people thought. Before our taping, I was sent to the hospital till my eye looked out, and he'd walked into a door, and he remembers thinking, "Oh God, we've got to do a television show." And you can imagine your eyes all dodgy, you banged into a door, you went to hospital, and like you've got a big plaster or a big bandage, it's like you're back at school or something. You're 6 years old with a boat not coming out your nose, and been sent to the nurse and having a big bandage on your eye. But I love the idea that he actually just said, "Oh God, we've got a television show to do," and he just did it despite the eye. And if you look at it, you can see that there's like a big bandage and a dressing on his eye. But that's like so cool. He made it. It's like, I think Morrissey did that too, didn't he? You'd sort of like make hearing aids cool and things like that. You remember that? Well, Morrissey's probably before he's sort of even the Smiths really in particular. But yeah, they should do that.
Listen, I've got to jump off now, man. I've got to head off. Sorry about that, but I would love to go for another like hour or so. But like, I
think 2 hours is a good length. I think that's what we should make it our like minimum if we can. But it's a decent length, I think. So yeah,
no, I'm up for that definitely. I mean, yeah, like I was saying to you, I was kind of like skeptical how much I could do because I thought I would struggle.
Yeah.
But it's been all right.
Oh,
and generally speaking, I think 2 hours is fine just to start with, and we can just run over whenever. Yeah, all good, man.
I thank the people listening for giving us 2 hours of their life. Thank you very much, you people out there, you fine listeners. God bless you all.
I'm sure they are the hours that can be cherished for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they'll maybe hand these memories down to their future generations.
The thing is,
their children's children.
We should say to the people who are watching as well, who are thinking about coming back next week, obviously, as everyone would be who's listening, we are maybe going to be doing something slightly different next week because there is going to be the Stoke Newington leg of my celebrations. And we were thinking about doing something maybe more live related, live as in sort of like with the videos on. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. We're thinking of doing something a little bit different next week, basically, aren't we? So we'll decide what that is, and we'll take it from there. I guess we should aim for the same time, innit? We should aim for like 6.
You know what it is, because it's going to be Sunday. We could film it and record it, and then put it out recorded. Yeah.
We'll discuss that. We'll talk about that. We'll confer.
Yeah,
we'll confer. All right, cool.
Okay. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anything in between, may the light be with you, and keep tumbling. Keep on tumbling.
Keep on tumbling. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.